So, the big movie that obviously released last week was the new Mission Impossible movie. And continuing the current trend of recent big blockbuster disappointments, it disappoints sort of. There's a bit of, there's more nuance to this than just it's a flop. It's not that black and white. Let me just bring up the full story here. So, here we go. Box office. Mission Impossible 7 falls short of expectations with a $56 million debut and collects $80 million domestically over 5 days. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 topped top domestic box office charts while falling short of initial expectations. Tom Cruise's latest blockbuster collected $56.2 million between Friday and Sunday, a lackluster start for a movie that cost nearly $300 million before marketing. Yes, I appreciate that makes for some bad reading. Heading into the weekend, Paramount and Skydance's action adventure was hoping to establish a new franchise record with 60 million or more. Instead, ticket sales landed behind 2018's Mission Impossible Fallout, which had 61 million, and 2000's Mission Impossible 2, which opened to 57.8 million, which remain as the top openings in the 27-year-old series. Comparisons aren't exact because Dead Reckoning Part 1 opened on Wednesday rather than Friday. The 7th installment has generated an estimated 80 million in its first 5 days of release, which is more than Fallout and Mission Impossible 2, both of which made under 80 and in their first 5 days in theaters. But with a stellar 96% on Rotten Tomatoes and a glowing A-grade cinema score, though, Dead Reckoning is likely to remain a force at the box office throughout the summer. But right now, it's pulling in, and this is bad reading, I appreciate, but right now, it's pulling in similar numbers to Disney's 300 million budgeted Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which debuted to 60 million over the traditional weekend, and pulled in 84 million through the 5-day 4th of July holiday frame. Indiana Jones 5, which doesn't have the benefits of great reviews or very positive audience scores, hasn't shown endurance. Ticket sales stand at 136 million domestically and 302 million worldwide. So it's as we reported, Indiana Jones 5 is a massive flop. To avoid a similar fate, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 needs to have a box office run as long and unwieldy as the film's title. The movie, which finds Cruise's Teflon operative Ethan Hunt defying death as he flies off a mountain on his motorcycle, scales a runaway train, and maneuvers a tiny car through a bustling streets of Rome, was incredibly expensive due to COVID-related starts and stops and other pandemic-era safety measures. So there's a chance the next summer sequel, Dead Reckoning Part 2, also directed and co-written by Christopher McQuarrie, will be less expensive. Repeat business as well as global box office returns will be key in saving Cruise's latest mission. Although the 7th Mission Impossible is showing strength at the international box office with 155 million, even with its weak 25.4 million debut in China. That brings its worldwide tally to a respectable 235 million, the biggest global start for the franchise. And it goes on and on and on. So now we get to discuss our favorite thing, which is thoughts. AJ, I want to give you the floor here to start with. How do you view this in relation to Indiana Jones 5? Talk to me about your general impression that the world has towards Mission Impossible and what the numbers mean to you.
Do you know the funny thing is that you sit there and you hear it, and the way you read the story, and I don't want to disrespect any news outlet that covers this, but it feels like a bit of a non-starter story to be like terrible box office weekend. But you then move on and be like, it didn't open on the weekend. It came out before, and it's had a pretty strong 5 days based on that. Now, I'm not saying, like, I understand the weekend is the weekend, but also day release means a lot, you know? You take something like Deadpool, it was put in the dead season in February, and people went in masses to watch it. And it's the same here. It's positive to see that it's got a good review, and people are still following the Mission Impossible franchise. I was actually really scared that it may not be something, you know, it looked like, yes, Top Gun gave people faith in cinema again, but it's declining. The fact that you're seeing it means, okay, it's not a strong box office weekend, but it just means people are still excited to go and see a film on release day. It's actually pretty good news as opposed to bad news. Yes, it's weekend, but if you're released early and your first 5 days make it, it proves people will rush to the cinema irrelevant of the day because they want to see a film or franchise. So well done, Tom, for not only having Top Gun behind you, you're doing pretty well with Mission Impossible as well. It's good news. Yes, there's expenses behind it as well. It looks like it's, it could be, you could reduce the expense on the next film. And there are reasons behind why there was expenses. In comparison to Indiana Jones, you're always as good as your last movie. And, the Crystal Skull just wasn't something people were running behind. And you have an aging star in it. Tom Cruise is also aging. I'm not denying that at all. But he's in a better position. People will follow him that bit more. He's still got that pizzazz. And the last one was awesome. Like, Mission Impossible is a fun franchise. It's what's done next, as opposed to Indiana Jones of how many snakes is he going to say he hates? And I love Indy, but I'm just being real behind it.
Yeah, there's actually quite a lot to unpackage here for a few reasons. So, I mean, first and foremost, this is my chance to do this face. Because it's my chance to say, I told you so. When the whole world has been like, Oppenheimer's going to open to 100+ million. Mission Impossible is going to open to 100+ million. Of course, I had to be the guy that people insulted online and said, it's not going to happen, not because the franchises aren't bad, but because historically they've never opened to those sort of numbers. Nolan movies never opened to those sort of numbers. Mission Impossible doesn't open to those sort of numbers. And yet people believed otherwise. Well, here you go. The opening is not as strong as people believed. But I have to say that the biggest thing, and this is so key, and comparing it to Top Gun Maverick, is it needs to stay in cinemas. The single biggest travesty going on in cinema in terms of the movies making money at the moment isn't necessarily the quality of the movies. That's part of it for sure. But when we're talking about why the movies which are universally being said, yeah, this is really, really good, why are they not making more than they are? It's because of the 45-day cinema window. Like, it used to be 90 days that a movie would stay in the cinema. Now it's 45. That's why you're seeing all these movies like, the Doctor Strangers and all of the big MCU movies and the Star Wars. They're dropping on Disney Plus so soon. It's because of the silly 45-day window, which I reckon in the next 12 to 18 months is going to be gone anyway. And Top Gun broke that. The reason Top Gun Maverick made so much money is because it got released, re-released, and they kept it in the cinema beyond the 45-day window, and it made a bucket ton of money. If this movie is loved, and from the scores, it looks like it's already being really well received, it just needs to have time. It needs to have legs. Word of mouth will spread. People will say, this new Mission Impossible is really good. It just needs time to be in the cinema. And it's the biggest problem in cinema at the moment is this 45-day window. Anything you want to add to that?
No, more than anything, it's the positivity that something that many people thought was on the decline is still standing strong. If it's every other film or every third film, cinema is still got a bit of fight in it, and that's what I'm happy with. The semantics behind what and why, hopefully it can be angled because they see the trends of what's going on. People rushing back to see a film multiple times, and despite going past that 45-day, people still paying that extra buck to see it. I mean, I'll be honest, and it's a sin that I still didn't see it. I was quite happy at how long Mario was in the cinema. I thought I was sure missed it, and it was still there. The stars didn't align. That's the truth behind it. But it's good to see that is the opportunity to catch a film. It goes from the biggest screen to the smaller screen. That's fine. But just have that opportunity. Let it still make money. Let it die its own death as opposed to killing it while it's making its succession.
And you know what's so funny about the fact that you've just mentioned Mario being in the cinema a long time? What's the highest grossing movie this year? Mario.
Currently Mario.
Mario could very easily be replaced by Barbie. I appreciate that. But currently Mario at 1.2 billion. This isn't random. It's not like, Mario was the best. Mario's nowhere near the best movie of the year. But it had a long run time. It had a good marketing campaign. And word of mouth spread. The stars aligned for that one. So listen, the cinema window is so important. But I want to hear what you guys have to say. Leave your thoughts and your comments down below. What did you think? What do you think of the new Mission Impossible movie? If you have seen it, are you planning on seeing it in the cinema? And why do you think that? Well, first off, do you think that it's underperformed given the franchise's box office history? We don't, but Do you what where do you see it ending up? Do you see it being a financial success? I think we both do. But leave your thoughts in your comments down below. And as always, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.